All right. Well, welcome to the Work Culture Podcast, where good companies keep good company. Today we have Thomas Pedersen, and Thomas is the founder and CEO at Bunny, and you guys are based out in California area around LA, right?
Right.
Celebrating your third year.
Yeah, it's been a lot of billing, but we are also a remote team, so it's really just me in LA. Everybody else is somewhere
Okay.
else. Yeah.
Everyone else is somewhere else. I love that. More and more fully remote companies these days. Exciting stuff. So, would you, Thomas, take a moment and tell us a little bit more about kind of yourself and your career? What got you to this point in your career?
Sure. Born and raised in Denmark. I came to the US when I was 34. Spent 4 years in Atlanta, then I moved out to California. Um, and I'd been in tech all my life, kind of startup environments. And some friends of mine had started a company called Zendesk back in
Yeah,
2007. Yeah,
I've used
and when they were,
Zendesk.
yeah, exactly, uh, Danish backers as well, or founders. And when
Okay.
they started getting some traction, they said, "Well, you're in the U.S. Do you want to help us out a little bit?" So I did that for about a year and a half. But I really wanted to start my own company with my brother, and so we were working on a startup on the side called One Login. And in 2010, we launched that, and I ran that for about 7 years. Brought in another CEO, and I left in 2022, I think. And the company since got acquired, and we kind of grew from typical SaaS, B2B SaaS company, self-service, credit card in the beginning, hired salespeople, international expansion, multiple products, etc. So we've gone through many different stages of billing challenges, and
Yeah.
that became the basis for Bunny, which is a vertical play, billing and wrap-offs for B2B SaaS. And
So,
we just started taking customers last year, and this is going to be the year where we focus on go-to-market.
okay. And who are your primary customers?
They're B2B SaaS companies. Um, the difference between us and the traditional billers like Zora and ChargeBee and so on is that they do both B2B and B2C, which are
Okay.
very, very different. And also they do non-SaaS. They do all kinds of, they're kind of
Okay.
agnostic. And so what a lot of companies do when they build their billing stack is they buy point solutions of general purpose CRM, general purpose billing, general purpose quoting, general purpose analytics, and then they integrate everything, configure it, massage it until it kind of works. And it's just a lot of work and very expensive. So we
Sure.
are just a vertical play where it's all in one, just optimized for B2B SaaS.
Okay. And you're saying as we're coming into 2025, you guys are really ramping up and kind of full going to market this year, yeah?
Yeah. So we are ramping up in a self-funded fashion. So
Okay, I love it.
yeah. I mean, it's a different, it's kind of by choice, but also fundraising conditions are very different than they were like when I raised my last company. You know,
Sure.
VCs, they want to, they're very focused on AI-based stuff. We're not like an AI type startup. Yeah, we use AI everywhere, but it's not kind of, our main thing. And we, I've been through the whole VC, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, journey before, and we just want to do it differently this time. So we're self-funding, and we will get profitable very soon, and then we have a lot of options.
I love that. I'm excited. I know that, we're connected on LinkedIn, and one thing for me that's very exciting with doing this podcast and over the last several years is I've gotten to meet some not only fascinating humans, but fascinating leaders and innovators that are that are doing things. I mean, like this. I mean, I've never really even heard of, like your competitors and kind of that space, but exciting to see kind of the start of the journey, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys grow and what's to come, especially knowing, yeah, like it's a whole different beast when you're not taking on investors,
Yeah.
and that's exciting for you guys. So Now, you may remember when we first spoke was actually before the holidays. As we record today, we're January 21st, 2025, which is crazy. I don't really have to write it anymore, but typing and having to type and go, oh no, not 2024, it's 2025. But when we first spoke, you may remember the question that I told you, the very first question that we ask everyone is to tell me a mistake that you've made in leadership that you'll never forget.
Yeah, oh, where to begin? Where to begin?
And it can be more than one if you
Yeah,
think of
that's a
more than
Pandora's
one.
box.
Sure.
Um, well, I would say uh, when you have a SaaS product, there's a lot of competition right now. Um, Quality is just like number one thing. You don't really get a second chance. We even experience that at my own company. Like customers switch files out, and then if they kind of hit some kind of hurdle or a bug, they'll just try a competitor. Oh, that worked. Okay, we'll go with them. And so the bar is very high in terms of quality. There's no way to hide. Now we are not. We're trying to make a product very self-service like, but it still needs a little bit of onboarding, or at least for people to kind of understand our take on billing. Um, but I made some mistakes in the past with hires I made, where I put them in positions where we did not agree on things like that. And I
Okay.
should have made changes in those areas earlier because it had long-lasting effects on our product,
Sure.
like tech debt and
Yeah.
so. Yeah. And so I would say that's when we ended up with a bunch of tech debt at my old company. And one thing my co-founder and I decided when we started Bunny was we're not going to end up in that situation again. So we've maybe overcorrected a little bit and over-engineered some things, but we know that we are going to go along with this company. So we want to be set up for the long term. Um, and so that's been exciting as well to kind of fix some of the mistakes you made in the past.
Sure. Yeah, that's always feels like you've
Yeah, you have some scars.
really, yeah, it
Yeah.
feels good knowing that you can do that. So when like as y'all are moving forward, do y'all have something that you've put in place to help you find the right people? Like we love that term, that phrase, putting the right people in the right seats.
Yeah.
As y'all are moving forward, do you have plans in place to ensure that you're putting the right people in the right seats?
So what we did this time around is we only hired people that we knew already, and that's one of
Okay.
the biggest challenges. I mean, it's a huge thing. So as an example, when we started out at One Login, we started in Santa Monica, and that was in 2010. We raised a little bit of seed capital, not a lot. We started hiring people. It was really hard to find people because the tech scene down here wasn't so big, and especially not for B2B. And we went through so many people that, you know, it just didn't work out. Like one guy, we found out he was sleeping in his car when he wasn't working, and some people showed up. They just went up getting high during the lunch break.
Wow.
And so when we raised our Series A round and decided that we were going to relocate to San Francisco, or at least build sales and marketing in San Francisco, almost our entire engineering team quit. Like I think we took two people from Santa Monica to San
Oh,
Francisco.
wow. And
And
for
then as
reference, how far are those two drive-wise?
it's 400 miles.
Oh, okay, okay. So we're talking
It,
clear across the state
yeah,
almost.
yeah.
All right.
It's a 1 hour flight, but it's about, and if you're
Okay.
flying with airports and everything, it's like 2.5 to 3 hours door to door.
Sure. Okay.
And then when you're a first time founder, you have to hire for a lot of functions that you've never hired for before. Like I've hired a
Sure.
lot of engineers in my past roles. I never hired a VP of sales, never hired a VP of marketing, never hired an HR person, and so on. And so you don't know what good looks like. And your board there will help you with some of these hires, but they, many of them have never been operators before. Like they just know, yeah, that guy worked at this company and so on. And we hired people that, you know, supposedly did great at another successful SaaS company, and then they came to our company, just they were just terrible.
Oh no.
So we churned through a lot of people. Um, and so when we started Bunny, we just brought over people that we knew already on the engineering side. We haven't hired any non-engineers yet.
Okay.
And So once we get to that, so that really limited a lot of risk because we kind of knew
Sure.
these people. We worked with some of them for over 10 years.
Yeah, and I was
So
about to say, so we're mostly talking about people you may have worked with in the past
yeah,
in
yeah,
your network. Okay.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
So, do you know, I mean, as you're thinking of 2025, I mean, what are the biggest challenges that you feel like you're going to be facing?
It's going to be customer acquisition. That's what this year is all about. We built a lot of product over the past 2.5 years. It takes a while to get it right. And I wrote a blog post about this recently. There's a difference between when you think you have product market fit and when your customers tell you that you have product market fit. Because uh, we got a customer, no, last summer, that were, you know, they have a busy business and a lot of changes to contracts and so on. And that were quite a few things we didn't do. Our product has really matured a lot in the past, I would say 6 months. And now we feel really ready for the broader audience. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
I love that. And are you like talking about that maturing in the last 6 months? Is that mostly based on customer feedback?
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. Because if you have a feature company, a product that does something very, very simple. What's a good example? I mean, it could be like calendar booking or something you just plug in and it works, no configuration, super simple. That's not too hard to get right, but we're trying to bring like four different other types of products into one. There's a lot of workflows in terms of quoting, renewing contracts, price changes, fixing billing mistakes, all that kind of
Okay.
stuff. And until you meet some real world problems, you're just not you won't anticipate all the things that happen in real life. Like a customer will go, so for instance, we're trying to do something in SaaS. You're very focused on your monthly recurring revenue. Like that's a key
Sure.
metric for your growth. And so you're tracking that, and you're also tracking how, like every month, how much new revenue do you get, like from new customers, how much upsell revenue are you getting from those customers, how much churn, how much contraction, and so on. And so let's say that a customer cancels their contract. Well, that's churn. Well, what happens if they change their mind the next day and go, well, actually, we still want to stay? What, is it churn or is it like, or is it not? Did the
Is
company
that a
say
win back? Yeah.
deactivation? Yeah, exactly. Right. And so there was a lot of things like that where we go, oh, that's an edge case. We haven't thought about that we had to fix. So that's when you meet like the real world because you're kind of, without customer feedback, you're designing for a happy path. That's a straight road. No one kind of pulls out in front of you and so on. And then
Yeah. No,
once you
no
get in,
curves, no nothing.
exactly, exactly,
Sure.
no speed bumps. And
Yeah.
that's just a lot. The road is more winding than you expect it to be.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
always the case.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, right now, given the fact that the makeup of the team is primarily on the, you know, dev, side
Yeah.
mostly, and everyone working remote, I mean, would you say that you're able to kind of create a positive company culture in that? Like, are y'all doing things proactively to kind of focus on the relationships of the team and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, so it is a little bit different when you're remote, but we
Yeah.
kind of brought the culture over with us from One Login because we knew all the people. We hired one person who didn't work at One Login, and he
Oh,
fits in
wow.
very nicely. He works out of Colombia,
Okay. Oh, wow.
yeah,
Nice.
Canadian in Colombia, and he's doing great. Um, so I think you just have to do it in a different way. And I'm not saying we're going to be remote forever. I think it works great for engineering and
Sure. Oh,
people who
yeah.
just work, who have to concentrate for long periods of time. We had
Yeah.
this open office landscape that was like the new thing in San
Yeah.
Francisco. And engineers hated it because they were on the same floor as sales and marketing. And
Yeah. They
those
want to
people
be in
get
the corner
excited, they're
quiet.
ringing the gong and everything. And they had to wear headphones to be able to
Uh-huh.
concentrate. So those people are happy that they don't have to commute and they don't have to
Yeah.
be in the same room as loud
Yeah.
people. But once you start building out sales and marketing, I expect that we're going to have an office probably here in LA and uh,
Okay.
and do it that way. But we're also trying to grow in a different way. So whereas when you have venture capital, you tend to just hire a lot of people. Yeah, we need to grow, so we hire people. We're going to go a
Yep.
little bit differently about it this time around
Okay.
to
Yeah,
see
I mean,
automate our way out of it. Yeah.
yeah, I spent a lot of years in sales, and I sold a lot of SaaS myself. And yeah, I worked at one company where we had like the you know all the developers, all of the just the IT support guys, all in one room,
Yeah.
and they would always have the lights were real low.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
had their
Yeah.
headphones on. There wasn't even a phone in that room. They
Yeah.
were like, "No, leave us alone. Like, ping me if you need anything." But yeah, it is. You definitely need that. I mean, that's to me, that's a part of culture is kind of meeting everyone where they are at and being able to make sure that yeah, like we talked about, they're not only in the right seats, but they're fulfilled in that role and they're getting everything that they need. So that's exciting to hear. And like as you're thinking of the past experiences that y'all have had, I mean, are there particular things that how am I trying to word it? Like, I don't know, like things that you've seen that were successful previously that as you're growing and knowing that you're growing at a a slower pace, you're doing it on your own, that when the time comes you're like, oh yeah, we did that in the past, we're definitely going to enact this, whether it's a culture thing or just a daily operation thing.
I I think we had a pretty good culture at One Log, and I get a lot of back channel where people go, yeah, I really had a good time with that company. I made a lot of good friends and so on. And we had no big scandals or anything like that, or not even
Okay,
any
good.
small scandals. The most scandalous things would be things I would say in town hall meetings. But
Yeah.
um, but I think it was a really good work environment. I think it's important for people to get together and build connections. So we have a daily video call with everybody. We just talk about what did I work on yesterday, what am I working on
Love that.
today. It's about half an hour, and it's kind of our only face-to-face communication as a group. We also encourage people to, instead of just texting on Slack, turn on video, talk, and you
Sure.
can build some connections with other people. We were really good. We had some great parties at One Login. San Francisco was a great town for working and
Yeah.
having a good time, but obviously we can't do that. So we are planning on bringing people together, every few months in different locations. Once we get profitable, we'll spend money on that.
Okay. And
Because I think,
you feel like that will happen this year?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's a long shot, but I'm gonna just throw it out here. If you guys want a really cool place, y'all come to Austin. I'll even. It's kind of fun. I mean, one thing that I did part time, but for almost a decade, I was a part time bicycle tour guide,
Hmm.
and I really really love this town. Austin is a cool place, and a lot of people they will make negative remarks of like, oh, Austin's like the new LA, which I'm like, okay, LA is a cool place. I don't know why y'all are so, hateful. I love seeing how Austin has grown and changed um but yeah, that's just a little plug for Austin if you guys ever
Sure.
decide you want to come do something, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Um
I mean, it was something I heard often in San Francisco when I started coming there. People heard I'm from LA, they would go, but isn't LA very douchey? I mean, I look at it in San Francisco now, I think they caught up. Um,
yeah.
but one thing we're trying to do as well as here is to give people freedom. So ironically, I was never really one for remote work when I was running One Login.
Okay.
Uh, but at Bunny, I've been remote. I built the first prototype, and I live on a boat here in LA, and I sail on
I
another
love that.
boat in the Med during the summer. So we had another guy. He was sailing around the Med with his family the first year of Bunny, and
Okay.
we have people that they go on like kite surfing trips or rock climbing trips, and they work, here and there while they're doing that. So we're trying to give people flexibility to do fun stuff, and that also like ties them closer to the company. And I
Yeah.
think in general, people are just happier and more productive. This whole return to office where everybody must go back to the office, I think that's a bad idea to make it mandatory for everybody.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
Especially, yeah, the people that, I mean, like people at your company, yeah, like if you don't, if there's no actual real need for it, it's not going to improve their productivity.
exactly.
In many cases, it's probably going to prohibit it,
Yeah,
making them come back. And yeah,
yeah,
I love the option for it.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I get up at
yeah,
6:30 every day. I start working at 7, and I'll work till 6 or more. And I mean, that's like a lot of hours because I have no commute. And
yeah,
yeah, but then also have the freedom to go riding my bike for a couple of hours during the day if that's what I want to do.
love it.
And I think you just have, you know, you can still work really hard even if you have the work-life balance.
Sure.
It's all
Well, I
about the
think
individual really more than the format, I think.
absolutely. Well, and I love that. I mean, when I was working SaaS sales for a Fortune 500 company, when all the COVID stuff started raging and they
Yeah.
forced us to work from home, and I didn't have a ton of extra space. So I had to find kind of a corner, and I hated it. I mean, for me, yeah, I loved being able to once an hour go grab a drink and play a game of ping pong and talk to a few people
Yeah,
and
for sure.
stretch my legs. And then now I'm like, where is, where is everybody? That I hated
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But yeah, everyone's different, right?
And some people
Uh,
have a lot of distractions at home where it makes it more impractical, like kids or pets and so on. I don't
yep.
have that, and our people generally don't have that. So for them, it works. But it's
Yeah.
that I think users have to be flexible with the rules. Not if the same thing doesn't work for everybody.
Well, and for me, one of the things that I've heard over and over, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but yeah, he's like, look, if you're not hiring people that you can trust, I mean, what are you doing? Like to say that like, oh, you need to be in the office so we can watch your work? I mean, what are we in
Yeah,
elementary
that was
school?
me. That was me in the
Yeah,
past. Yeah, that's how I
it's
felt about it.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, talking about that, I mean, can you point to, do you remember kind of a time where it flipped for you? The to like I don't have to babysit these people. Like I've
Yeah.
hired smart, capable people. I can let them, do what we've hired them to do.
I think in the beginning where you as a I knew everybody, I knew every engineer, I could work with them directly. That was fine. Then you hire people to hire and manage the engineers, and then maybe you kind of get a little bit more um, disconnected from them, and now you have to
Sure.
trust that manager
Yeah.
that their output is good. And sometimes you may see evidence that it may not be the best. And managers, they will sometimes protect their people, even if it doesn't make any sense. There could be all kinds of reasons for them to not let go of someone.
Sure.
And so I think definitely has impacts how you look at it. But when I started working on building Bunny, that was maybe in like 2.5 years ago. I just started working on prototype. I've been doing nothing for about half a year after I left OneLogin. Um, I was just really enjoying the flexibility. I'll be working over 40 hours probably, some weeks less. But it was just so I could really get into the zone uh, because I could just be comfortable. I have like perfect work set up. I have an office here, and I just got a lot done. And then my brother joined, and then we had a few people come over from OneLogin, and we knew their strengths and weaknesses, so it just worked really well. And I think when you have a high level of trust, it's easier. When you don't trust your people, that's when you start thinking, hey, what's going on? I haven't seen them
Yeah.
checking any code. If you don't trust your people, that's a different problem. It's not about where they're located.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you said that, that was the first word that came in my mind is, yeah, it seems to me that comes down to trust. So
Yeah.
that's good knowing that, Yeah, you had people that you could trust. And so now as you're continuing to build, and I mean, not to hammer too much, but do you know, I mean, so we're in January now, like do you have a kind of a forecast of like by summertime we want to be hiring, salespeople, or, do you know kind of, where you forecasting there? And then when that time comes, I mean, what's your strategy for bringing on those new people to make sure you have people you can trust?
Yeah, salespeople are always tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
uh,
true.
but I think they're also necessary. Even with all this AI and so on, soft enterprise software still requires salespeople.
Yeah.
Um, I think in the beginning, we have already launched some go-to-market activities, buying customer lists and doing advertising and so on. Right now, I'm closing all the deals, which I think is the
Okay.
typical approach. In the beginning, the founder is the
Should be. Yeah.
salesperson, yeah. And when we get to a point where it's repeatable, then we can start hiring some salespeople. But we're not quite there yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
And
also, when you're funding a business yourself, you're a lot more frugal with your money.
oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
mishires are expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Especially just knowing how competitive the marketplace is right now. And
yeah, yeah,
it seems that I don't know, every time I look on LinkedIn, I have a handful of people in my network that are posting some variation of how many, jobs they've applied for and how many they've gotten rejected for and how many they've actually gotten to interview. And
yeah,
it's crazy because you know that these are good people and they're smart and they're educated and they're experienced. Um, yeah, it's the new day and age. So do you know when that time comes? Like, will y'all just use, Indeed or LinkedIn or one of those to find hires, or do you have a method already, or?
probably LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm spending most of my time on LinkedIn. Well,
Okay.
that's a place where I spend the most of my time of any kind of social outlet. I think
Sure.
X has become a different thing now, not so effective for B2B. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a nice
uh,
way of putting it.
yeah. Um, LinkedIn is great for building a brand, making connections, reaching out. I get so much email spam, and
Yeah.
it's really hard to get someone's attention through email. But if you have more credibility reaching out through LinkedIn, also
Yeah.
people can see, oh, it's a founder in the background. Maybe we have shared connections, etc. So I think that's a good avenue. But we'll see what AI does to that because I'm also getting a lot of auto-generated content. It starts like
Yeah.
there's a flattering opener, some
Yeah.
BS about, oh, great, blah, blah, I see you do this and this. And I could just
Yeah.
tell, yeah, you didn't write that yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So outbounding can really get damaged by AI, by auto-generated content because if everything is fake, then none of it matters, right? You're not even going to
Exactly.
convert. Yeah.
But for me, so I don't know, for years and years, I mean, I have this like switch in here where I try to find, I gotta be positive. I gotta find the good. And
Yeah.
so when I look at that and I see it, I think, oh, me just being me and being a real human and making a human connection, I can blow most of these people away because
Yeah.
they're over here just hiding behind their chat GPT bullshit.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is as we're moving down this road, right? And all of the AI stuff coming, yeah, like I see it on LinkedIn now. I don't know how many years ago I did it. I added my middle initial on LinkedIn, and it might be cheesy, but what's funny is I'll get 3 to 5 new connection request or in mail request on LinkedIn every day. and 90% of them it'll say, "Hi, Daniel W." And so I immediately know
You can tell it's
that,
auto
yeah,
generated.
it's immediate red flag of like, this isn't a live human. This is someone that is using some sort of a service or something. And it's most of the time I'll just block them and move on. But sometimes I'll be frisky and I'll be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
so you know why I know that this is fake?"
yeah, I'm the
And
same
then,
way.
and
Yeah.
then they'll start, talking to me and
And I think that's the biggest risk with AI. It's, human connection and trust can really be damaged by that. So authenticity is a way
yeah,
to go going forward. So I really up my LinkedIn game, writing lots of posts and getting good engagement to build the founder brand. Because no one wants to talk to a bot.
no. And
And
how,
let's say
what's your strategy with LinkedIn? How often are you posting? And
I do a couple of posts a week. I've noticed when I do something like product news for Bunny, no one cares. But if I
yeah,
write about something from personal experience, people really engage with it. I wrote a post about the fires here, like after the
yep,
dust had settled and people were stopped pointing fingers. Well, they're still pointing fingers, but
yep,
I'll write about my experience as a founder, as a manager, all kinds of stuff. And it's something I don't really engineer it that way. I just all of a sudden get an idea. Oh, that's a good idea for a post, and then I'll just write it real fast, like 10 minutes, get it out,
yeah,
and and I've gotten leads that way. So
yeah.
uh, I
Yeah,
think
it
that's
is. It's to me one of the craziest things that I've been seeing on LinkedIn as well. And I see people um, even pointing it out is you post some post about anything, and then someone goes in there and all they do it's almost like they're just echoing a couple of points from what you just said, and
hmm
they're like, "Oh yeah, that's great." And there's no real engagement. There's no it's as if half these people have taken a LinkedIn course that it's just like, oh yeah, you want to go in and just echo what they're saying, and then and yet again, it's very easy, even though that is a real human, it feels very like
not authentic.
robotic.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, very inauthentic for sure.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, if you don't
okay.
have, oh, go ahead.
No, 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 go for it.
I mean, if you don't have anything, you know, authentic or original to say, just don't say anything.
Yeah.
You can definitely tell that people that are trying to tap into a feed just to kind of get their name out. I mean, obviously we all do that, but unless you have a really good response, then I think it's yeah, maybe less is more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is and I don't know, I mean, I'm assuming on some level you checked out my LinkedIn. And, what I'm doing now is I'm combining essentially the two parts of my career, teaching golf and sales. And I've been very fortunate to use golf as a business tool for a lot of years. And I've helped a lot of people throughout the years to not only improve their, the game of golf and how they
hmm
play, but increasing their confidence to be able to go and play with a business customer or at a company outing or a charity golf tournament or something like that. And it's to me it's fun, and like we've had this boom with golf since COVID started. And so yeah, it's like it's a really fun thing for me, and it's not a thing I'm doing a bunch. I mean, maybe 15 hours a week. Same with this podcast. I mean, I'm
That's a
maybe
bunch.
10 to 15 hours a week,
Yeah.
but yeah, being able to, for me, it's just like, yeah, I want to use the knowledge that I have and just help people. And and it's so funny because so many other people, they don't want, it's all transactional.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, yeah, that for the most part, the feeling in my body is that it is just like you said earlier, it's so inauthentic,
Yeah.
that I don't want anything to do with it. But
I mean, it's a little bit like dating, right? If you at least buy me a drink first, like
Yeah,
we talk me a little bit,
exactly. Exactly.
nothing's gonna happen
Exactly.
just without
Let's
that.
have a
So
connection first.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Yeah.
Thomas, I want to ask one last question. If there's any final maybe words of wisdom or any thoughts that you might like to share, whether it's personally or professionally.
Yeah, well, um, it's difficult to give advice that applies to everybody, but
Sure.
I have two sons in the early 20s, and I was always very, focused on my work. I started working full time when I was 20 for a software company in Denmark, and the first many years I didn't do vacations. I was just all about my work and the sport I was doing at that time. And I've discovered some things late in my life, like snowboarding, sailing, and cycling. Just like all I care about, and then plus doing bunny at least. And yeah, I've had a real nice life and good experiences, but I'm trying to tell my kids, well, see if you can design your life more. And I got lucky with our exit, but I didn't have a pension ever. I just spent all the money. I never saved up. So I'm trying to tell them, hey, see if you can design your life so you can retire when you're in your 40s. Like you may not want to, but if you could, you have so much more freedom in terms of what
Yeah.
you want. And make sure you kind of get that right life work balance. Don't be too materialistic. Put the money away. No one cares about what your car looks like and all the
Exactly.
things. And I see this generation is much less materialistic than I was and my parents were. I mean, your mileage may vary, but my kids they don't care about stuff. They want
Yeah.
experiences. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say for young people. Um,
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I am with my kids. I tell them all the time. And as a child, I can remember two Christmas presents.
Hmm.
The very first Nintendo, and then the year that I got a pool stick. I was shooting pool,
Yeah, I love
and
the swimming pool.
yeah, I don't remember any other Christmas presents, but I can remember those family vacations and those
Yeah,
Saturday morning trips to go play mini golf or go bowling and going camping and going to the beach. Yeah, I mean, I remember those. So that's what I try to do with my kids is,
yeah.
yeah, just get out there
That's
and make memories.
that's a quote that I really love, and it was an interview with the founder of Kinko's,
Okay.
that was acquired by FedEx, and he sold for like 1 billion or something like that, made a ton of money, and he bought a jet and did all kinds of stuff, and then he sold it again because he didn't really do anything, and he said the way that he feels successful today is that his kids still want to spend time with him, and I thought
Wow.
that was so good. Like when you look back, you know that's what matters. Like if you have
Yeah.
kids or your friendships or so and so on, you can sit on a big pile of money and be very, very lonely.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's dark.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I love it. And I love that. I mean, yeah, you can't take it with you.
Nope, exactly.
And
Yeah,
yeah, no, that's
gotta have
good stuff.
experiences.
So, okay, Thomas, last thing here before I let you go. This is kind of one of my favorite parts is, and in the early going, what I tried to do is every single time I tried to come up with five different questions. But then I
Hmm.
was like, I don't really like that. These are my five favorite questions because I want to know the same thing about everyone. So
Okay.
I'm going to just say two things
Okay.
and pick one. And if you don't have one, then you can say neither. But so the first one is always my favorite: golf or tennis.
Neither.
Neither. That's
Yeah.
okay because you said you're sailing and bike riding, and what was the third one you
Snowboarding
said?
and
Snowboarding.
snowboarding.
Okay, okay, all right. And how about tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee. Okay.
I
Um,
like tea as well.
okay. Now this one is a great one, especially knowing your location. Mountains or beaches?
So I never cared for beaches. You can sand between your toes and so on. I love mountains because you can ski down them, you can bike up them. I
Yep.
prefer to be on a boat than be on the beach.
Okay. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
How about whiskey or beer? Or maybe
Um,
neither.
I'm more of a bourbon guy, but I like beer as well. A good
Okay.
IPA is amazing.
Okay. All right. And then last one, I think I know the answer to this one, but morning person or night owl?
I'm actually a little bit of both. I sleep about 6 hours, maybe a little bit less on
Okay.
average.
I'm a little
So
bit of both myself.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm
I
trying
love
to
it.
get up earlier and earlier because now I like to go riding in the morning, and
Uh-huh.
then I get so much more out of the day. And then if I go to bed early, I also drink as much in the evening, so that works out fine as well.
Yeah, that yeah, that definitely helps, huh? All right. Well, let me see if I can. Well, Thomas, I really appreciate it. This has been great. I wish, selfishly, I kind of wish I was there interviewing you on your boat. Maybe later on you'll give me a do a little video tour. I want to see what the outside of this thing looks like
Sure, and
too.
I'll
But
give you a draft right after this.
there you go. Well, we are going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for being on the Work Cultured podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.